Alright. So, this is going to be our last lesson. So make sure you have headphones out. Turn off your Fortnite videos. You nerd. And make sure you have Desmos because you're going to need that today.
You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.
You never want to do this. I don't know why today is special. Okay. So, hey, headphones out. Turn off your games. Turn off your YouTubes. AJ.
But are you still laughing at that?
Yeah, kid.
She'll whip you.
I'll tell her how to get rid of it.
Can I sit right here?
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So we're going to be graphing square roots today. So the first part of this is actually going to be really similar to stuff you guys have done in the past. We're going to make a table, and then we're going to go through and plug that table into Desmos and see what x's and y's we get. So we're going to start with just the square root of x. Okay, so we're going to grab square root of x, and to do that, I'm going to make a table, like over here on the right side, and I'm going to make my table in Desmos. I'm going to go here to Desmos, I'm going to go plus, and I'm going to go table, and I'm going to delete this, and go square root of x, like this. And then I add 1, not 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Make sure, how far did I go? Oh, sorry, I started at 0. My bad, I started at 0. Alright. So, my square root, I accidentally typed, I started on the wrong order, but that's fine. I should have started with 0 instead of 1. But when I plug in 0, I get 0. When I plug in 1, I get 1. And then I get a couple decimals, 1.4, 1.7.
Okay, I'm staying.
Why?
Go.
Everyone's like, why?
Alright,
No.
that's fine, man. Just-
Why, Luis? I just realized that I'm feeling
Or did mother realize?
That's fine, man. Grab your notes. Okay, so I got my table here. When I plugged in 0, I got 0. When I plugged in 1, I got 1. When I plugged in 2, I got
1.4,
1 was 1.4. 3 was 1.7, right?
Yeah.
1.7.
4 was 2. All right. So let's look on this next one. What about if I were to plug in -1?
Unidentified. Unidentified.
No,
undefined.
undefined. Not unidentified. I said fine.
I was like, oh.
Go, kids,
Okay,
start.
No, man, it's fine. And if I were to plug in, say, -2, I get the same thing, right? Because what is the square root of a negative number?
It's not a real number.
That's true. It is not a real number. So, when you look at these, if you have a negative number in a regular square root like this, it doesn't exist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph these points here, and then we're going to make a line to our graph. Go ahead.
Don't do that. You look like a freaking food.
Do the least.
Go home.
Okay. All right. Good enough. Okay, so I graphed my points on this. And you know, when we graphed stuff before, like when I graphed lines before, I'd graph my points, and I would make a line, and I put arrows on the end, right? Square roots are a little different. When we do square roots...
Sharpen your pen again,
Sorry. Fine. When we do square roots, we are not going to do 2 arrows. So when I do a square root, I'm going to start here at my first point, and I'm going to draw a line kind of going through my other points, and I'm only going to put an arrow going out to the right. Because in a square root, I can't have negatives, right? When I plugged in a negative, I got an undefined, which means there is no line down here on the left. So my square root looks like a hill or something. So they're all going to be kind of something like a little hill. Kind of like that. That's what square root will always look like.
Looks like somebody's shoulder.
So sometimes, I don't think we're going to get to any of these today, but sometimes they can also be flipped upside down. and it looks like it's like a downhill.
You just want to spend
It'll
like
go the other way. But I think for the most part today, they're always going to be like this. Kinsey.
Good.
So, whenever we plugged in a negative, we got an undefined. Alright. Well, let's graph another one. So I'm going to graph y equals the square root of x plus 2. And it's going to be basically the same thing. But in Desmos here, instead of square root of x, I'm going to have square root of x and then plus 2.
What?
And let's look at our things we got here. Alright, so again, my order is a little weird because I did start with 0.
Okay, this is really confusing.
Pay attention.
Hey, what's the one round? I got like
Alright.
Well, why don't you explain it better?
Okay, alright, that's a good point. Okay, so keep in mind, on this, is my 2 inside the square root on this
Oh,
problem?
no, okay,
No.
so I gotta fix the square root.
Yeah, so be careful. Don't put your 2 inside the square root like here. Don't go plus 2 like this and see how this 2 is inside the square root. That is wrong on this problem. It needs to be outside the square root. So make sure you click over here on the right and then go plus 2.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so my table on this one, I had, when I did 0, I got 2. When I did 1, I got 3. When I did 2, I got 3.4. When I did 4, I got 3.7.
And 3.
Wait,
I skipped 3.
Well, you got 4,
Right.
didn't you?
3.4, 3.7. And when I did 4, I got 4.
So we're brothers. How you?
So I'm going to go through and graph these just like I did last time on my actual graph here. I have 0, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3.4, 3, 3.7, 4, and 2. And just like last time, this first dot right here is where I'm going to start. I'm going to make my arrow go out and through, and square roots kind of level off a little bit, so they're not like a straight line, they kind of level. I didn't do a good job on this one. And I'm not going to make an arrow go down on the left because I can't have, like even when I look on my Desmos here, -1, -2 are undefined, so I can't have 0 there.
But you ain't bothering right now,
Alright, so we did the square root of x and then a plus 2 on the outside. How did this, so I want you to look at the first graph we did, look at this graph, how are they different? So Ashlyn, how are these two graphs different? The first one we did and the second one we just did right now. How are they different?
The first one we did,
Yeah, how are they different?
it had like a dent. Wait, are you talking about this one?
Yeah, compared to that one, how are they different? How is
Yeah,
this
that-
graph different from that one?
The first one,
What do you think, Ashlyn?
it's like, I don't know, it's like curvy. It's not like this one.
Well, this one
They're not that
I drew it wrong. It should look more like this,
Oh.
like more leveled off. I just drew it
Well,
wrong.
then I don't
Alright,
know.
what do you think, Ruben?
It has a plus 2.
This one is up 2 compared to the last one, right? So if I have plus or minus outside my square root, it moved it up, and in this case it went up 2, right? All right. Well, let's. We're gonna keep this in mind. Keep this in mind for now. We're gonna kind of keep working with this. And let's look at this next one. So
I got it.
we're gonna graph y equals the square root of x minus 3, and it's a little hard to see, but the minus 3 is outside the square root, right? How do you think this is gonna change from the original? What do you think?
down.
Well, let's find out. On your own, I want you to make a table, and I want you to graph it. I want you to make a table and graph it on your own. Let's see if we're right. Let's see if this goes down 3.
Never mind.
If it's a 1.58.
It's just a bunch of negative numbers.
Yeah, it's a bunch of negative numbers.
Numerals.
It's all big.
Numerals.
So, what's wrong with that?
It's gonna say what?
I also do not like numbers.
What if this doesn't have
What's wrong?
Do we round?
Yeah.
I could show you the world.
table?
I could show you
I put 0 in on top.
I could show Ruben the world.
Same thing I did. Alright, so I'll give you another minute and a half. So on your own, you're going to make the table and then graph it. And
I am going.
we're going to see if we were right. We're going to see if this goes down 3 like we thought.
Oh, you should have seen
Ew,
the way
got
I-
it, go.
we were walking downtown, dude. There was like a bunch of weirdos walking through the way.
Hey, what the hell? I'm sorry.
What? Is that how it's supposed to look?
High five.
This is how I was walking down the street.
And I seen the second story.
It will eventually, but it'll probably.
You see what
What
I
the-
did?
Way better.
What did I do
Square roots
wrong?
things on the
Got the
cell phone.
negative underneath the.
Some people say way better. Bro, what's the problems got
It's kind of like a hill that gets really steep all of a sudden.
If it wasn't for me, oh!
See, my line doesn't go all the way across them, all over all of
I
them.
don't think I hit that in the perfect moment.
About another 30
It's not good like
seconds.
that.
Make sure you go through and graph it and everything.
Oh, you already did it too?
Yeah, man.
We won.
You to be polite to your other students.
God, I messed up.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how this freaking
There.
works.
I hate fans.
Whoa, not even hostile, guys.
You wanna switch?
Yeah, high five.
Alright,
I hate this pen.
we're gonna get
Yeah,
started.
you need to be hostile.
Luis, what'd you get when you plugged in 0?
Order.
-3, right? Alright, Lily, what'd you get when you plugged in 1?
I didn't read
Please.
it.
Beto, what'd you get when you plugged in 2?
The new beach just came out. Just
Oh,
Already
yeah.
done.
Me. Oh, wait.
You're already dumb?
Negative
Is that what you said?
1.5.
Brother?
Dumb?
Okay, so negative 1.6,
Oh,
right? Round it.
Mackenzie.
Alright, Moses, what'd you get when you plugged in 3?
Can't remember his name.
27.
1.3. Carlos.
Brother. Brother.
You got 1.3?
That's my brother.
Moses,
Do we round it?
what'd you get?
1.3.
Baby brother.
I got one.
Oh, negative 1.
There we go.
Oh, hey, brother.
Alright,
We
and
can
Gabe, what'd you
round
get
this, right?
for 4? Negative 1. Alright, let's graph this real quick. So negative 0, negative 3, 1, negative 2, 2, negative 1.6, and 1.3 and negative 1. Alright,
Ruben, you know.
so was this one down 3 like we thought it was going to be?
Yes.
Yep. This one was down 3. Alright, so let's keep this in mind and we're gonna keep looking at a few more different ones.
The girl can't do that.
Good.
In ratio to my body.
Alright. So we looked at stuff when it was adding or subtracting outside the square root, right? Let's look at this one, and on this one we are adding inside the square root. I have an x plus 3, right? So what do you guys think? What do you think this plus 3 is going to do?
You know,
Level it out. Let's
change the
find out.
number inside the vehicle.
So we are going to make a table and graph it just like before.
Are you sure about
And
that?
we're going to see what it does.
You can make it all like
No.
Are you sure about that?
Let's find out.
What?
Alright, so I'm going to delete this other thing here, and I'm going to put plus 3 on the inside,
See,
and let's see what we get.
On the inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
my bar don't go on that.
Okay. So
What is this,
when I
Goldie?
got 0, I have a 1.7.
27.
Oh!
0, I got a 1.7. When I did 1, I got a
2.2.
2,
2.4.
and then 2, 2.2,
2.6.
3, 2.4, and 4, 2.6.
What?
Wait,
Yeah.
which one?
Alright,
This one, we just
but on this one,
plus 3.
I kept my negatives in here. I didn't delete them from the last time I checked. What are these negatives still undefined?
No.
No, there's actually stuff in here now, right? I have a negative 1 and a 1.4. I have a negative 2 and a 1.
What's the thing?
Crazy cool.
I have a negative
Goki.
1 and a 1.4. I had negative 2 and a 1. Yeah, Kinsey.
Isn't the bar not supposed to go all the way across the thing? Oh wait, no, and this one is. Never mind.
I have no idea. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
And you know what? Since negative 1 and negative 2 work, let's double check negative 3 and negative 4.
Really?
I'm not
Undefined.
Alright, so when I did negative 3, I got 0.
Oh,
When
I
I did
did.
negative 4, I got undefined.
So like when you had the
What?
Negative 3, I got 0.
I grabbed it
Negative-
wrong.
whatever number
Well,
you
just
add,
copy down mine.
whatever number you add.
Excuse me, say what?
Alright, so I'm going to go through and graph these. Just copy mine. I know I had a few extra numbers in here. But that's okay. So I'm going to go through and graph. I had negative 1, negative 3, 0. I had negative 2, 1. I had negative 1, 1.4.
You
I
go
had
back.
0, yeah.
What is he saying?
1 point, yeah, 7.
What the hell?
I had
What are
1.
you doing?
Oh, Jay.
I'm graphing everything.
Watch your language.
Why are you doing it right there?
Yeah,
Do we have
it
to
starts
go-
at 0.
Okay.
I know. I'm just, and then I did some negatives, right? I put in some negatives here because my negatives, when I had on decimals here, I kept my negatives in there before and they had numbers in them, right? So I just added on a few more numbers. I actually probably should have put negatives on there to begin with, but that's my bad.
So you want us to start from the negative?
Well, it doesn't matter the order you graph them. You're gonna do the same thing.
I want you to do you, Jace.
I don't know anymore.
You can do 0, 1.7, 1, 2, and then skip around and do negative 1, 1.4. You get the same thing either way.
I don't know anymore.
Do you, Jace.
So we can do the positive or the negative?
Yeah, it doesn't matter as long as you put them all on there. They're all gonna be in the same spot.
So we can start everything on
Do
there?
you.
Like all the dots?
Yes.
Negatives and positives?
All right.
1, 2.
So I graphed this, and this one is a little different than before. How is this one different from my original?
Has negatives involved. It's the
That's
original.
true.
The lines
Some
are a little
negatives are in
darker.
here, right?
The lines are a little darker on the graph. than the
All right.
other one.
How did this graph move compared to the original? It went left, right?
Yeah,
Or
it went left.
it went left, right? Left, right, right, left.
Haha,
It went left, and this one went left
Get my all.
3.
Get the right.
All right.
Oh, what are we gonna do?
This one went left 3. I'll let you finish off your graph real quick because people are still working on it. But while you're doing that, we'll take a look. You guys are going to do this next one.
Are you sure about that?
I
I'm not
am.
doing a goatee. It's too hard.
So you guys are going to do this next one. And on this next one right here, actually, hang on. Skip this one half one right now. We're not going to do that. On this next one, I have the square root of x minus 1 on the inside. What do you think this minus 1 is going to do? Which way is it going to go?
It's gonna go up.
It's inside the square root.
No.
The outside moved it up and
Zero's
down, right?
undefined.
Alright, so fill out the table and see what you get, and see how this one has changed. Find out. Find out. Remember, Desmos is nice because you don't need to delete numbers. Don't delete them.
Yeah,
Leave it in.
all the negatives are undefined.
Okay. So on this one, on your own, I want you to fill out this, finish filling out this table, and then make the graph.
Go for the free.
Dude,
Do it already, actually?
The frick.
What?
Get
No, I don't get this.
There's no point. I'm not doing the negatives because there's no point.
Child.
Yeah, it's undefined.
How do we grab zero then?
there.
You don't grab zero, it's undefined.
And, oh,
You just
be
grab
careful.
1, 2,
The bar should be like all the way across, right? So you're doing only one. And then, you see how it's right there by the X now?
Look, you do want us to go up numbers like 5, 6, 7.
No, just you, on this one, just do the ones I have on here.
Okay. Then I'll finish.
So fill out your graph, or excuse me, fill out your table and make your graph real quick.
Do you have to do the negatives?
Well,
No point in doing
what do they say when you have negatives on there? They say undefined, right? So no, if it's undefined, you don't put anything on there.
that. Yeah, I
It means
come
it
on.
doesn't exist.
Are you go to?
There's 2 X things?
Yeah.
Oh.
For free.
The first one we're gonna do together.
Why is there 4 of them?
Okay, can I go for the second one?
I haven't done one homework assignment for a month.
All right. So let's go over this one. Ivory, what'd you get when you plugged in 0?
Undefined.
Undefined. Magi, what do you get when you plug in 1?
27 minus 27
Come on.
equals 0.
0. Ruben, what do you get when you plug in 2?
0.4.
You say
What?
0.4.
Double check that.
Make sure it's under the square.
Yeah. I think you actually did. I think you accidentally did square root
1.
x and then minus 1 on the outside. Your minus 1 should be inside of it. So all right, Jace, what'd you get?
For 2?
Jason,
Yeah.
why do you got a bunch of
I got one.
lines on there?
You got what?
I have a bunch of undefined.
What did you get?
You told me not to. I was deleting them, but you told me to put it back.
Whatever, Jace.
Jason, say the answer.
I did one.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh.
Alright, Kinsey, what'd you get for 3?
1.4.
If you get mad at me, you said it.
And
graphed it
Ashlyn, what'd you
wrong.
get for 4?
I quit.
Okay, so let's graph these. So I have 1, 0,
Don't Quinn, just get
2,
your math on.
1, 3, 1.4,
Your math
4, 1.7. Alright. How is this one different from the last one? Excuse me, from our original.
It's over 2.
It moved right 1. Alright. Well, let's go through and talk about these. And we're skipping this one over here. If you have a number in front, there was a 1/2 in front, even though I crossed it out. That just will make your square root either be like really tall, really quick, or like really flat for a long time. That's what that does. But that's not as important. So we're actually going to do this first exit ticket part together. You guys are doing the second one on your own as your regular exit ticket. I probably should have just called it notes, but I called it exit ticket. I don't know. All right. So when I added a number outside the radical, outside our square root, what did it do? How did it move? How did it move? Better?
Outside the.
Yeah, like the first one. It moved up or down, right?
Yeah.
So when it was outside, it moved up or down. So for example, square root of x minus 2 means I'm going down 2. Right? Okay. What about when we added inside the radical, inside our square root?
Left
It
to
moved
right.
left to right, left to right.
Side to side.
But it was a little different. When you had like square root of x minus 1, which way did that move? Did that move left or right?
Left, right.
No, I moved right.
Oh yeah,
Remember,
negative.
When I did this -1, it went right 1, even though that's a minus. So that actually went right 1.
Okay, I get it.
So it moves left or right, but it's kind of the opposite of what you'd think.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that in here too. I don't know why I wrote the whole thing out and didn't just write opposite, but oh well. So, if it's inside your square root, it's going to go left or right, but it's going to be opposite. And the multiply is a stretch or shrink, but we're not going to talk about that right now, so don't worry about it. I changed my mind halfway through this. So, when we look at graphs, in general, if we are going to add inside a parentheses or inside a square root, it's going to move left or right, but opposite. So this isn't just for square roots. This is for all graphs, pretty much. Whenever it's inside a parenthesis or a square root or whatever, it's going to move left or right. If it's outside, it's going to move up or down. And it's going to move like normal. Inside, it's left or right, but it's opposite of what you think. The other is up or down. He's not good on Xbox, probably not.
Okay, then bullying me.
Probably not good on Xbox. Just know that you're better than they are. Okay.
But it feels weird.
All right. So you guys are gonna do this exit ticket on your own, but let's do one together. On this first one right here, if I have y equals square root of x and then a plus 1 outside of it, without making a table, what do I know is gonna happen with this graph compared to the original? Which way is it gonna go? Be careful though, it's outside,
It's gonna go left.
so it's gonna go up 1.
Told you. Oh yeah, it's not.
Because see, be careful, the bar ends right here.
Yeah.
So this one is gonna go up 1.
Luis doesn't.
What about this one, without even graphing it?
Up one. Right.
Careful.
Up right.
Oh, right.
No,
Left.
that was right.
Left.
Left.
Oh, wait.
Left
one.
one.
Oh, right. Left.
Left one. When it's inside, it's opposite. I know it's confusing. So, as you did all these, you could make a table, right, and look at your dots and count how many was over. But we're going to try to move away from that and try to graph these without actually making a table. Some of them you are, but some of them you're not. This is inside my square root, so it's opposite of what I think.
Oh, this one's pretty.
It's going to be left 1. What about this x minus 18 up here? It's going to go left or right?
Right.
Right.
18.
18.
The bottom one's gonna go
So
And-
if it's
and down
minus
7.
or whatever, it goes right.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's
Cookie.
plus,
Plus it goes left. That's
And
when
then
it's inside. Inside.
So the
And
other one's gonna go
Outside is
up.
up or down like
It's gonna
normal.
go, okay.
Okay. What about that last one? What's going on with the last
It's gonna
one?
go
It's
left,
gonna go left
down,
and down.
seven.
Yep. So two things happen on this last one. It's gonna go left
On the 18 minutes.
5, and it's gonna go down
Right.
7. That's it. All right. So, you know what? We'll skip our exit ticket since we did it together.
Yes.
What?
Unless you're gonna
Alright,
celebrate.
I'm gonna watch the game on that.
Okay, so you guys are gonna start on your homework. On your homework, you really only have like 8 problems. The first 4, 16 to 20, I want you to make a graph and make a table for it, like the first ones we did. So you're gonna make a table, like an XY table, and then make your graph. On 30 to 34, you're going to graph, but you're not gonna make a table. So, for example, if I were to graph this one without making a table,
That's the worst
if
one.
I had my axes right here, right? This means I'm going up 1. So instead of making my table and seeing my points, I'm just going to say, well, I know what square root looks like. This is going to be up 1. So I'm going to go up 1 and then make my square root like that.
Dude, double
You're not going to make a table. It's just going to be kind of a rough sketch. So let me put that on Google Classroom and you guys can get started.
Now can I?
And we're out of this class at 1:30 today, so you got like 15 minutes. Yeah, after Moses goes back.
Didn't I ask?